Sean Pickett here with Sales Integrity. Thank you for stopping by the Sales Integrity Podcast. Today we continue our discussion on the topic of prospecting on purpose. So without further ado, let's get today's episode rocking and rolling. Did you know that 70% of people make purchasing decisions to solve problems and 30% make decisions to gain something? Today, we talk about the pain and pleasure principle, and more specifically, how it affects your selling success. First, let's explore the pain and pleasure principle and just talk about this for a little bit so we're all on the same page as to what we're talking about and referring to when we say the pain and pleasure principle. The pain and pleasure principle lies at the core of everything that you do and of everything that you are, as a matter of fact. Your beliefs, your values, your psychological rules are all built upon this principle. The decisions you make, the actions you take, and the habits you indulge in are all based upon this principle. In fact, every part of your psyche is influenced in some way by this pain and pleasure principle. You are therefore who you are today because of how you've interpreted and, more importantly, acted upon the experience of pain and pleasure all throughout your life. And as a matter of fact, we all know action always begins with a decision. And before every decision you make, you unconsciously ask yourself the following set of questions. Number one, what does this mean? Number two, will it lead to pain or pleasure? And number three, what should I do about it? The decision you choose to make will depend on how you interpret pain and pleasure in your life, and how you interpret pain and pleasure depends on your past experience of pain and pleasure. But one thing's for sure, based on the statistic that we opened up with, more people make decisions to avoid pain than they do to gain pleasure. And this is true just in life, but also in B2B complex technical selling as well. Think about it. If you start to experience shortness of breath, you're getting dizzy, your arm's starting to tingle, you're starting to experience signs of what you may believe is an oncoming heart attack, you're probably going to quickly call 911 or have someone do it for you, or get to the hospital and emergency room as soon as possible. That pain caused you to make a decision much faster than, let's say, it's, you have a personal goal. Maybe it's the new year, you have a New Year's resolution, or you have a personal goal to lose weight. Let's say I want to lose 10 pounds. We're more apt to push that off, when the alarm goes off at 5 a.m. and we're ready to go to gym on day number one of achieving our new goal or working towards it. We're more apt to push that off and say, I'll start tomorrow. I'll start next week. Or I got people visiting in town this weekend. I know I'm going to go out and party and maybe eat too much or whatever else. So I'll start it on next Monday, right? We're more apt to push off the attainment of pleasure than we are to push off anything that's painful. So that's why I always talk in terms of challenges, issues, and goals for our clients. You want to look at what are their primary challenges, issues, and goals, and then really start communicating in a manner that focuses more on the challenges than anything, because those are the problems that they're facing. So again, 70% of people make purchasing decisions to solve problems. 30% make decisions to gain something. The source there is Impact Communications. That's where I got that research from. And we're going to make use of that today by me providing you with 3 recommendations on what you can do about that. Now that you have the knowledge that the pain and pleasure principle is driving everything we do personally, and we've already talked about that even in a B2B setting, in a business-to-business setting, businesses are comprised of people. So it's a person-to-person sale. It's a human-to-human sale. Although we may hunt in packs in the team pursuit sales cycle, and we're working with buyers and their team of influencers, it's still important that we understand that these are people making decisions and that they are beholden to this pain and pleasure principle. So you want to make use of that as a sales professional in the way you're communicating and interacting with your prospective customers. So let me give you 3 quick recommendations on how to make use of this pain and pleasure principle as a sales professional. Number 1, you should go back and listen to episode number 23 of the Sales Integrity Podcast. The title of that episode was 3 Primary Business Outcomes your customers seek from you. So 3 primary business outcomes your customers seek from you. I will go ahead and give you the punchline now and give you the net of that, but you're going to want to listen to that episode to kind of make use of that information a little bit better. And those 3 primary business outcomes are top line growth, bottom line results, and operational efficiency. So in business speak, that's achieving top line growth is increasing sales, increasing income, growing the business, growing that top line. Bottom line results is decreasing cost or expenses and improving profitability. And then operational efficiency is doing things more efficiently, doing things in less time, right? Operating at a more efficient rate, getting things done in less time, avoiding waste, cutting out waste, and as it results, or as it relates to processes and in the way you're operating. And operational efficiency tends to drive top line growth and bottom line results. So just keep that in mind. If you basically, tip number 2 is to create all your messaging focused on those 3 primary business outcomes, but more importantly, taking it a level deeper. Instead of just mapping it to I help you achieve top line growth, bottom line results, operational efficiency, look at what's most painful to them, what's causing the most problems, and you're going to diagnose that and understand that more through effective questioning when you're meeting with your prospects and your customers if you're selling them something new in terms of product, services, solutions. And so you want to map it to not only top line growth, bottom line results, operational efficiency, but pick out the ones that are most painful. That tends to be cost or expenses. If you want to reduce costs or expenses, if it's costing them more to do business, they're less profitable. That tends to cause the most pain, especially if they're publicly traded and they have shareholder value that's eroding or decreasing. They're going to want to curtail that and do something about it. It's going to be more painful for them to address. So you're going to want to map your solutions to that. So tip number 1, listen to episode number 23. The title of that episode of the Sales Integrity Podcast is 3 primary business outcomes your customers seek from you. Tip number 2 is create messaging focused on pain and problems. So that's tip number 2. You want to create your messaging focused on pain and problems, and more importantly, as it relates to messaging, come up with questions that could really probe into that pain and into the problems. And then tip number 3, tell a story of how you rescued a customer from the pain by solving their problem. So again, tell a story of how you rescued a customer from pain by solving their problem. And of course, you're going to want to map this, and tell a similar story of a similar customer than the one you're talking to, than the prospect you're talking to. So it helps to have case studies and stories, more importantly, success stories of how you rescued customers in their same industry niche, of their same title, if you can get it to that level of detail on how you rescued them from pain by solving their problem. And the reason why you want to do that, I have another little stat for you here. After a presentation, 63% of attendees remember stories, only 5% remember statistics. And again, after a presentation, 63% of attendees remember stories, only 5% remember statistics. And this source was Dan and Chip Heath. I found this research out there on HubSpot's blog, the 107 mind-blowing sales statistics that will help you sell smarter. So they have a nice slide share on that out there and some good detail on that. But just keep that in mind. 63% of attendees remember stories. Only 5% remember statistics. So it's in your best interest to not only create your messaging that's focused on pain and problems, but weave that into a story that you're going to tell the prospective customer on how you rescued a previous customer from pain by solving their problem. And again, you want to map that over to top line growth, bottom line results, and operational efficiency. So that does it for today's episode as it relates to focusing on the pain and pleasure principle, and more specifically, how you can leverage that information in the research I shared today to help you sell more and earn more. Now let's end today's episode with a few quick reminders. All right, reminder number 1, if you haven't signed up for our free 7-day video email course titled 7 Steps to Master the Game of Complex Technical Selling, then you should do so right away. Go ahead and visit mastercomplexselling.com. Again, it's mastercomplexselling.com. Reminder number 2, if you want to ask a question and have me feature that on the podcast to answer your question, then just send an email to asksean@salesintegrity.com. Again, it's Ask Sean, and I spell it S-E-A-N. So Ask Sean at salesintegrity.com. Number 3, if you haven't already done so, please rate the show. If you've been listening a few times and you get a sense of what the show is about and you feel comfortable, I greatly appreciate a 5-star rating and a quick 1 to 2 sentence review. You could do so on iTunes. Just search for the show and then click the ratings and reviews and go ahead and just add it there. And then final reminder, if you haven't already joined one of our 2 B2B Tech Sales Professionals group, you could do so on either Facebook or LinkedIn. Just go ahead and search for B2B Tech Sales Professionals, and it'll pop up, and you can just join right there. So once again, thank you for listening to today's episode. Go out there today and help your customers buy what they want, what they need, and what benefits them. And most importantly, go out there and make it a great day.